Let's make some 18th century baby shirts. Hi everyone, my name is Caitlin, and on this channel I teach old-fashioned sewing skills and we copy originals. I have a lot of linen here. No, we will not be using all this linen to make baby shirts. We're probably going to use a tiny little bit of it, but this is the first linen I got a hold of. So we just bought 50 yards of linen recently, so this is a good portion of it. But yeah, some 100% linen. We're going to make some baby shirts. Sharon Bernston has a lovely website. She's passed now, but she still has all her research on the web for us, and she has a little draft for us. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that, because I've never seen any originals. I've never handled any originals, so I don't know how these things are put together. I'm going to trust somebody who has seen them in person. And then through my research, as I look at originals online, if I see any discrepancies, I'll just follow what I see. But yeah, let's go ahead and get to cutting. Alright, so I have here an 18-inch square of linen. I need to cut it down from 18 inches to 14 inches on one side. I'm going to do 3 shirts. I think that's the most logical way to do this. These scissors need some WD-40 or something. They're hard to open. My goodness. Yeah, I wanted to cut 4, but just the way, with how wide my linen was, I could only get 3 one way, and I didn't feel like cutting a whole another length just to cut, you know, only one off. So we're going to go with 3. So the directions you say, if you're not using 17-inch toweling, you got to cut it 18 inches, not 17 inches, and there will be more work involved. But I'm using whatever linen I already had, so I'm not buying anything special for this. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of extra work. Okay, I'm going to fold it in half, and then 4 inches over on either end, I'm going to cut a little slit. And that is quite literally all the cutting we're going to have to do. Oh, except for the neckline. Obviously the neckline. 4 inches up, basically 4 inches wide. We're gonna curve that off, and it kind of comes to meet there. It's like almost a little heart. If I just, put a little space there, that would be a heart shape. Alright, so we have shifts. Okay, so this fits basically, this gets folded here, and then this, yes, and then this gets folded in like that. Cool. I need to actually cut in half an inch in more because I had to add seam allowance that end. That's right. I wasn't meeting in the middle. Glad I caught that. Okay. Yeah, so that is essentially how they're going to look when we're done. So what I need to do, this is going to get attached to that. I don't understand directions well. Alright, I'm starting with hemming the bottom edge. It's actually a little bit big for a narrow hem, but we're going to work with this because it was easier to do. And I'm sewing this with linen thread as well. Actually, I'm going to cut off these little strings while I'm here because we're about to do this side as well. So because I didn't get 17-inch wide fabric, we are going to have to do a little bit of extra work. And that includes hemming these sides. I'm not even sure if they make 17-inch wide toweling anymore. I haven't actually looked. I know they used to, and I bought some huckback towels that were 17 inches wide, but those are cotton, so that wouldn't work for this. But I wonder if they still make the 17-inch wide towels with the selvage on either side. We don't have nearly the amount of fabric widths they did back in the day. They've been more standardized. Thing is, when you do a lot of sewing, sometimes it's useful to have different fabric widths to choose from, because a narrower width might mean less work, and when you're in a hand stitch only time period, that makes a lot of sense. I probably shouldn't speak too much about the 18th century. I know even in the early 19th century they had a lot of fabric width, so I was assuming it was the same way, but I should not assume. I love linen because it's like really easy to finger press into shape. Like it holds whatever you press it into very easily. which makes my life a lot easier. I don't have to actually go to the ironing board and press it every time. I can finger press it, and it stays in pretty good shape until I stitch it down. Alright, so I don't have to do anything. This is going to, of course, be the sleeve. This gets folded over. Well, that's the sleeve. We're going to do all that in a second. I'm wondering if I ought to go ahead and hem the neck. Actually, no, we're going to bind the top of this with tape. So we'll wait on that. So yeah, I got to go on the others. I got to go on this other side first. Hem sleeves and center fronts for all three. Cut off the little flyaways before I do so. It just helps me have a neater hem. And I think the next step should be to do this neck opening, so I'll have to go get my 1/2" twill tape. And Sharon Burns' directions call for cotton twill tape. I'm wondering if linen would be more common. What do I know though? But all I have is cotton, so that's what we're going to be using. Alright, I am finishing up the side of this one, and then we're going to go ahead and do the sleeves, I think, before I do the neckline. I actually thought about doing some lace or something, a frill at the neckline. 2 reasons why I'm not. First, this type of shirt, I've seen a couple of these types of shirts just online. None of them were trimmed. This is a very simple style shirt with the sleeves already attached, where you don't have to sew in the sleeves. And I haven't seen any trimming on this type of shirt, so that already took it out for me. But also, the ones that I saw that were trimmed, that were fancier, different styles of baby shirts, most of them had trimming at the neck and sleeves, and I had already hemmed the sleeves. I mean, I could put lace at the edge, but it seemed like they were, the lace was put on and then, so that like negated a frill, and I wasn't sure about the types of laces I have, if they're appropriate or not, so I'm going to leave that off. So that was a no-go for me anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and sew the sleeves. And the directions didn't say what stitch to use, but because this is a seam that will take stress, I'm doing a back stitch. And I got it to about 11 to 12 stitches per inch, so we're doing pretty well with our stitch length. I think for our brushes, we're trying to go more upper working class, so maybe I should have done a little bit of a fancier type of shirt. I have so many hand sewing projects right now. I don't know what happened this year, but it's like I have a quilt to finish that's all entirely hand done. We're starting the 18th century and 1840s, both of which are entirely hand stitch only by my standards. It's just... have all that beetle wing embroidery project. I don't know what possessed me, but for some reason I have all handwork this year. And so anything that's going to be easier is what I'm going to want to do. Okay, there ends up being like a small tuck here just because that meets perfectly. So to be able to do a seam there, I haven't quite figured out how to not make a tuck there. So there ends up being a tuck in the back. I don't think that's really exactly right, but I couldn't figure out how else to do it. Okay. And then to finish this seam off, instead of doing like a felled seam, the directions say to basically fold each side over and then whip stitch it down individually. So that's what I'm doing. So it's kind of like felling, but I have to do it twice. Now it's just the neckline and we'll be done. The neckline I am going to iron down just because it's there are parts of it that are on the bias and I don't want to stretch it out with my fingers. I think it's going to be easier to do with a hot iron. Alright, we are embarking on the very last step. I love easy projects, especially when they're easy hand sewn projects. So I kind of wanted to bind this. I thought it would look better, but the examples of this type of shirt do seem to be bound. So although I can find evidences of other types of shirts that were hemmed, with or without the lace or the frill, I can't find evidence of this type of shirt being hemmed. Why? I don't know. But that's what my current research is showing with, the 3 shirts of this type I've been able to see. So that's not the greatest of sample sizes. But we're going to go with what the evidence currently shows. So I'm going to bind it. Sometimes the little details like that are the important part. Sometimes, you see different types of chemises or different types of shirt shifts, dresses, whatever. If you don't notice the minute details, you could miss some things that they did or did not do with those particular garments. So what I'm doing is I'm making the halfway point on that raw edge to be right halfway of my binding. And I'm just using what is essentially a whip stitch or a slip stitch. There we go. I'm going to flip it over. Okay, I got a little bit crazy on that, so I'm going to just trim that. Went a little bit overboard. But then I fold it in half, and I get to slip stitch the other side. So I'm going all the way around the neckline this way, and then our little shirts will be done. Alright, there we are. So they are adorable. I don't know what it is about these shirts. I was looking at them on the couch going, why are these the cutest things I've made so far? And I don't know the answer to that because I've made a lot of beautiful things for little ones in the last 2 years. But there is something about these, and I don't know what it is, that just speaks to me. They're absolutely adorable. And they are the simplest project I think we've made. I really do not understand it. There is no reason why I should love these as much as I actually do. There is no logical reason. So I ironed them out. Unfortunately, my iron apparently has something inside of it because we have nice brown marks on this one. The other 2 don't have any. Well, there's a little bit right here. Actually, I see it now. That one's fine. This one actually was before I sewed it, so I knew that was there. Then I was ironing them out. It spit out more on this exact one. I don't know what it is about this particular shirt. My iron decided it was going to be stained. But I can wash that out. That won't be a big deal. Yeah, they're cute. Took me a morning to sew together all 3 of them. That wasn't too bad. Anyway, I think that's about it. Super simple project. I love it when they're super simple, especially, again, with all these hand sewing projects I'm having to do this year. This is the year of the hand sewing. I think next year we're going to try to go back to some machine sewing eras, because this hand sewing is actually is really getting to my fingers. Even with a thimble, it's getting to my fingers. And I'm filming this in February, so we still have quite a long time of hand sewing to do. I haven't even made an 1840s dress yet. I still have that quilt to do. Again, lots and lots of hand sewing. We're only like one project into my 18th century stuff. I'm working on the stays right now. This is actually my reprieve from the stays. I took a break from the stays to work on these things, even though it's basically the exact same stitching. But it was a lot less back stitching. The back stitching on the stays is getting to me right now. So this was nice. I got to do some different stitching, even though it was still all by hand. But yeah, I'm going to be very sick of hand sewing by the end of this year, I think. I have no idea what we're going to do for baby stuff next time we do 18th century. I think it's petticoats next. I am technically still supposed to be doing diapers. Like, I want to do linen diapers, but Burnley and Trowbridge has not gotten their diaper back in stock. It was there last summer. I almost picked some up, but I was like, oh no, I'll grab some when I actually need it. Which was stupid, and this is why I always should buy things when I see them, because now it's not in stock. They told me to be back in stock in January, but it's mid-February and it's still not there, so now I'm concerned that they're not going to get any. I mean, if it comes down to it and we get done with all the 18th century baby stuff, we'll see how all that goes. And I guess I have to now go back and work on the stays. So, if you've enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe to the channel, click that little bell notification so you're notified anytime I upload a new video. And as always, have a fantastic week, and I'll see you back here in the next video.